It's been our consistent view here at Roll Your Own Magazine that good tabletop injectors like the Supermatic and XL are cornerstones of the Make Your Own method. A large number of our readers have expressed interest in further automation of the process, and to that end it would seem that an electric-powered injector would be the ultimate goal. While there have been a few rather feeble attempts to design such a machine, really the only one we have seen that appears to work well enough to be noteworthy is the Easy Roller. Now, this machine is not for sale in the US. The Easy Roller requires European standard 220-volt power and connectors and is neither UL listed nor US certified. It was brought into the US from Denmark for demonstration purposes only by a large tobacco outlet chain. A number of our readers have seen this machine in action at various member stores of this chain, and their reactions have been, quite frankly, mixed. As you can see from the schematic, which is in Danish, the Easy Roller utilizes a worm drive for its injection strategy. We'll look at this drive more closely in a minute, but first let's take a look at the basic functions of this machine. Now, like all injectors, one must first place the tube on a support structure of some kind, in this case a hollow shaft, and likewise fill the tobacco chamber. Now, while the injection process itself is certainly no faster than a crank-style injector, one can put enough tobacco in the hopper for several cigarettes, at which point you simply press a button and the worm drive pushes the tobacco into the tube. The negatives regarding the performance of this machine, in our opinion, are related mostly to the style of tobacco used. This machine has problems with large, dry, bulky cuts of tobacco as shown on the left. Smaller, more moist cuts like McClintock's Golden Virginia, shown at center, work far better. And very moist, very fine, long-cut tobaccos like Ballyshag Red at right seem to be optimal for this machine's performance. So in this first part, we're going to show you the performance characteristics of the Easy Roller utilizing these three categories of tobacco. In this first shot, we'll show you the machine's performance with dry, bulk-cut tobacco. This type of tobacco is commonly found in many lower-cost bulk U.S. blends, and it's likely that many of the demonstrations of this machine that were viewed negatively by our readers use this type of tobacco. As you can see, the machine seems to work flawlessly as the injection process goes, although the tube does seem to fill a bit more slowly than later attempts will show. The real problem comes after the tube is filled. As you'll see, when you turn the finished cigarette upside down vertically and tap it a little, all of the tobacco falls out of the tube. Now, this is not only functionally unacceptable, but even with function aside, this could pose a serious, significant hazard to the smoker, especially once the cigarette is lit. The next clip shows the results of using the less dry, smaller cut McClintock Golden Virginian tobacco. Now, please keep in mind, since this machine is not being sold in the U.S., these demonstrations, as interesting as they may be to U.S. enthusiasts who have been waiting for just such a machine, are really more for our European audience who actually may have access to this specific machine very soon. More on that later, but for now, notice how the tube seems to fill more efficiently with this type of tobacco. And more importantly, once the tube is filled, very little, if any, of the tobacco falls out of the tube. Even with fairly aggressive tapping, the tobacco tends to stay in place. Now, these next two clips show the machine using the Ballyshag Red, a very moist, long, fine-cut tobacco. This type of tobacco is common in Europe, where the machine was actually developed, so it's not surprising that the Easy Roller does better with this type of tobacco. In this first clip, you'll notice that the machine seems to hang a bit, requiring one to push the power button several times to eventually fill the tube. While this is perhaps a bit inconvenient, the end result is a stick that is as nicely packed as any manufactured cigarette, and even after several hours of sitting in a cigarette case, the tobacco stays in place. Now, we filmed this demonstration outside behind RYO Magazine's offices in fairly dry 80-degree weather. After allowing the tobacco to set for a few minutes, the final injection process proceeded smoothly with no hang-ups, and the resulting stick was uniform and viable. The tobacco remained securely in the tube, and the draw was perfect. Now, in order to judge the burning characteristics of a cigarette, and thus the quality of its packing, one need only look at the quality of the ash produced. As you can see, the ash forms to a good long length and remains stable, exhibiting a very even burn. No doubt helped by the use of high-quality Veracruz tubes, this stick is definitely now ready for your cigarette case. We previously mentioned the worm drive, and now it's time to examine a little more closely this design element. In our opinion, the only thing wrong with this machine is that the cutting edges of the auger-like injection bit are much too sharp. This causes the drive to damage all but very moist, fine-cut tobaccos by literally chopping the larger cuts into excessively small pieces. Consequently, once injected into the tube, these small pieces have difficulty staying packed. Now, those in Europe who may be fortunate enough to get one of these machines should consider perhaps running an emery board lightly against the drive itself to slightly dull these sharp edges. We feel that a less sharp edge would still efficiently push the tobacco into the tube while chopping the tobacco less. Otherwise, as noted previously, I would use only a moist, long, fine-cut tobacco with this machine, and with these considerations, this machine should function every bit as well as it was designed to do. Now, the switch you'll notice on the side of this machine is ostensibly designed to change the speed of the drive. However, using every possible setting, we were unable to detect even a slight variation in drive speed. Nonetheless, with the right moisture content and cut of tobacco, this adjustment may not be necessary at all. This machine is extremely well made. The motor is robust and quiet, and the entire unit is only a little larger than a couple of boxes of tubes. It will definitely make a great cigarette if you adhere to the preceding recommendations. And as we said before, this is the first time we've seen a machine that actually would function this correctly and make cigarettes of this quality using an electric motor. Now, this unit is currently warehoused in the U.S. in fairly large numbers, and the wholesaler is looking to export this machine back to Europe, where its power requirements and future certifications should allow it to be distributed. If you're located in Europe and are interested in this machine, contact us at RYO Magazine, and we will forward your information to the U.S. wholesaler. The Easy Roller, pretty interesting device. Too bad we can't have it here.